You ever feel the exact moment your soul leaves your body? For me, it was a Tuesday. I was in the middle of presenting a $7.8 million contract renewal I single-handedly salvaged from a failing account when my boss, in front of the entire executive team, interrupted me with, "We'll take it from here, Derek. You're done." No warning, no reason, just done. Before we dive in, where are you listening from? And what time is it for you right now? Drop a comment below. I read everyone. Help us reach 10,000 subscribers before the end of the month. I made a promise to my dog. Once we hit 10K, I'll buy him a brand new cooling mat. He's counting on you, and so am I. So if you enjoyed the story, please hit that subscribe button. My name is Derek Maddox. I'm 32, obsessive about details, and I spent a decade outsmarting corporate egos, until one of them finally outplayed me. Or so he thought. 3 weeks ago, I was still a senior account strategist at Epsilon Metrics, a buzzy analytics firm drowning in buzzwords and bloated egos. I wasn't just good at my job. I was the job. My territory outperformed the next best region by 43% last quarter. My clients trusted me. My team respected me. And my boss, Cal? He tolerated me when he wasn't looking for ways to clip my wings. "You're too direct, Maddox," he'd say with that smug MBA smirk. "Clients want velvet gloves, not sledgehammers." What he didn't understand was that clients don't care about gloves. They care about results. Which is why Martin Finch, the CMO of a Fortune 100 behemoth we almost lost last fall, had just flown out to LA to shake my hand in person after signing a multi-year renewal with upsells. That contract alone made up 19% of our Q1 forecast. So yeah, I was flying high when I walked into that Monday executive sync. Polished shoes, PowerPoint bulletproof. I even skipped my usual cold brew to keep the caffeine jitters away. The room was full. Cal, our HR head Denise, the CFO, and a couple of directors who mostly lived in spreadsheets. I launched into the numbers. The Finch account was not just saved. It was resurrected. I showed the engagement metrics, the rollout roadmap, the Q2 pipeline. Then, just as I clicked to the next steps slide, Cal raised a hand. "That's enough, Derek," he said, not looking at me. I froze. He leaned back, crossed his arms, and dropped it like a bomb. "We've decided to move in a different direction. Your role is being eliminated, effective immediately." I laughed. At first, I thought it was a joke. I waited for the smirk, the punchline. But all I got was Denise looking at me like I'd just been told my dog died. "Wait. What?" I said. "We just closed Finch." "The company's evolving," Cal said, like he was reading off a cue card. "This is a strategic decision. You'll be given a severance packet." No pipe, no complaints on file, no write-ups, just boom. Gone. But the moment that really shattered me? When Martin Finch texted me during the meeting. "Hey, just got a strange call from Cal. He said you're no longer with Epsilon. Tell me that's a mistake." My hands were still shaking when I looked up at Cal. And then I realized something chilling. He had no idea what I'd done just 2 days before. He had no idea that just 48 hours earlier, I sat across from Martin Finch at the rooftop bar of the Viceroy Hotel in Santa Monica, sipping an overpriced old-fashioned and negotiating a future outside of Epsilon Metrics. "Ever thought of going independent?" Martin asked, swirling his glass. "You've got the brains, the relationships. Hell, you saved our entire West Coast rollout." I didn't answer right away. The sky behind him was melting into oranges and purples, the kind of LA sunset that makes you forget how broken people are beneath their smiles. "I've thought about it," I said, careful, "but I've also got a non-compete longer than most marriages." Martin smirked. Let me handle that. If you're ever free, we'd back you. It was just a conversation, or so I thought. But apparently Cal had ears everywhere. Or maybe he was just paranoid enough to act on a hunch. Either way, he wanted me gone. And fast. Back in the boardroom, I sat frozen as Cal passed the HR packet across the table like he was sliding a menu. I didn't touch it. I gave you everything, I said, my voice low. I brought Finch back from the dead. I trained half your department. You're not even going to pretend this is a restructuring? Cal's nostrils flared, but his voice stayed calm. You've always been a lone wolf, Derek. This company's moving toward integrated collaboration. You don't fit. It was such corporate bullshit, I almost laughed. Integrated collaboration? I was the glue between departments. I mentored 3 of our junior strategists into managers. I handled the clients who scared everyone else off. But suddenly, that wasn't what they valued. Not when the politics turned. I stood up. Every part of me wanted to throw that chair through the glass wall behind him. But I didn't. Instead, I leaned in close and said, "Good luck with Finch. Hope you read the clause on exclusivity." Cal blinked. What clause? Oh, I said, grabbing my blazer. Guess you didn't realize. The new Finch contract? It gives me first right of refusal on any external consulting role. I drafted that with Martin's counsel. I didn't wait for the explosion. I walked out, calm on the outside, lava on the inside. In the elevator, I finally opened Martin's text. You okay? This Cal thing is bizarre. Want to talk tonight? I typed back, I'm free now. Let's talk future. But I wasn't okay. I was humiliated, furious, unemployed, and about to find out just how far Cal's reach really went. Because the next day, someone tried to ruin my name. By 10 a.m. the next morning, my phone was blowing up, but not with job offers or messages of support. It started with a LinkedIn message from a recruiter I'd been talking to for weeks. Hey Derek, just heard something concerning from Epsilon. Are you involved in legal trouble? Want to clarify before we proceed. Wait, what? Then a DM from a former coworker I trusted. Dude, Cal's telling people you were fired for mishandling client data. What the hell is going on? I was still standing in my kitchen in sweats and socks, coffee untouched, heart thudding against my ribs. It felt like someone had thrown a bucket of ice water over my head. Mishandling data? That wasn't just petty, that was career-ending. I'd heard stories like this, executives blacklisting people with a whisper campaign. But I never thought it would be me. I always assumed my results would protect me. I was wrong. I called HR, demanded answers. Denise wouldn't take my call. I emailed Cal directly, just 2 words. Cease immediately. No reply. I pulled out the Finch contract and reread it. Every line, every clause. It was airtight, no wrongdoing, nothing unethical, nothing even borderline. I'd made damn sure of that. But it didn't matter. Within hours, 2 companies I had interviews lined up with canceled. One moved in a different direction. The other stopped replying altogether. By noon, I was pacing my apartment like a caged animal. My life was unraveling in real time. Then I got a call from Martin. Derek, listen, he said. I just got off with Epsilon's CFO. They're telling partners you violated protocol by pushing contract terms without legal approval, that you acted unilaterally, that we're being misled. I was speechless. You and I negotiated every term, I finally said, with your legal team involved. I know, he said, but they're trying to poison the well. I sat down hard. What do you want to do? He asked. And I heard myself say it before I could think. I want to burn them down, legally, quietly, but completely. There was a pause. Then Martin said, Then let me introduce you to someone. Her name's Rhea. She's not a lawyer. She's something better. And that's how I met the woman who would help me turn this smear campaign into the most satisfying redemption of my life. But not before I watched my entire professional identity nearly go up in flames. Rhea Morgan was the kind of person you only meet when the universe decides you've suffered enough. And it's time to change the game. Martin set up the meeting at a private club in West Hollywood, the kind with valet parking, thick velvet chairs, and waiters who remember your drink from last month. I felt out of place, like an imposter in exile. But when Rhea walked in, everything around her just stilled. She was in her early 40s, sharp-lined suit, no jewelry, no small talk, just laser focus. She shook my hand, looked me dead in the eye, and said, "You want to make him pay without getting your hands dirty, I'm listening." I told her everything. The Finch contract, the ambush firing, the smear campaign, the jobs that ghosted me, the silence from HR, and the way Cal weaponized lies like a damn surgeon. I expected sympathy. What I got was better. "You were too predictable," she said coolly. "You played straight. He played survival." I frowned. I didn't think I had enemies. I just wanted to do the job. She smirked. "That's what people like Cal count on. Let me ask you something. If I were Cal, what would you want me to think right now?" "That I'm panicking," I said. "That I'm powerless." "Good. Then stay that way, on the surface." She opened her laptop and started typing. "We're going to turn his strengths against him. Leverage the very things he thinks make him untouchable: reputation, optics, and ego." And then she laid out the plan. Reputation audit. She had a contact in digital forensics. We'd compile a timeline of everything I'd done at Epsilon, with signatures, emails, Slack logs, every approval, every oversight I'd been forced to bypass. Document it all. Legal countermeasures. She wasn't a lawyer, but she had a pit bull on retainer who specialized in corporate retaliation suits. "You're not suing to win," she said. "You're suing to force discovery." Whisper network reversal. We'd reach out to the same recruiters and partners Cal had poisoned, but with receipts, screenshots, signed approvals, timeline trails, quiet, targeted, ruthless, public exposure. With precision. "You're not going viral," she warned. "You're going surgical. One leak to the right industry newsletter, anonymous source. Let Cal scramble to explain why their top performer vanished mid-quarter." I felt my heart racing as she spoke. It wasn't just a plan. It was chess, and I'd spent my entire career playing checkers. "What do you want in return?" I asked. "Just one thing," she said, closing her laptop. "When this is over and you rebuild, you don't play defense anymore. You build something so strong no one like Cal can ever touch it again." That night, I went home and opened a blank Notion board. Title: Operation Ashes, Empire. But before I could even begin Phase 1, something happened I didn't expect. Someone from inside Epsilon reached out, anonymously. And what they told me? It changed everything. The message came in through an encrypted Proton Mail account around midnight. No subject line, no signature. Just this: "I was in the room when Cal decided to fire you. It wasn't about Finch. It was about what you found in the Q4 data set. Check your archived folders. You're sitting on something way bigger than you know." I stared at the screen, my mind spinning. The Q4 data set? That wasn't even part of my scope. I'd reviewed it in passing for a strategy memo I was helping draft. Nothing stood out at the time, or so I thought. But the message felt real. Too specific to be spam. Too pointed to ignore. I reopened my cloud archive and dug into my private backups, the ones I always kept, just in case. Zipped in folders named things like Q4 notes, final, really final. A digital paper trail of my obsessive attention to detail. And there it was. A buried pivot table I'd almost forgotten. West Coast client ROI reporting. Adjusted versus actuals. I ran a side-by-side with the internal revenue summaries Cal's team published. Numbers didn't just differ, they lied. Someone had cooked the books. Overstated quarterly returns for at least 4 major accounts, including Finch. On paper, it looked like my region was printing money. But in reality, we were just keeping the ship from sinking. Barely. And suddenly it clicked. That's why Cal panicked when I landed the Finch renewal. The new deal came with actual accountability. Martin's team was going to audit everything quarterly. Real numbers, real oversight. Which meant Cal's little accounting magic show would be exposed before spring. He didn't fire me for being rogue. He fired me to cover a fraud. I sent the spreadsheet to Rhea at 1:07 a.m. with one line. I found it. We're not just playing chess anymore. This is checkmate. By 9 a.m., Rhea had the documents with her forensic contact for authentication and timestamp validation. And within 48 hours, her legal pit bull filed a preservation notice to Epsilon's legal team. Now they knew we knew. I got another message from the mole. You're not the only one he tried to bury. There are others. When you go public, we'll back you. Just say when. Just like that, Cal's kingdom of glass started to crack. But we weren't done. Rhea wanted one final move before the exposure. A card played so quietly it would shatter Cal's credibility before the press got a whiff of the fraud. Let him try to control the narrative, she said. Then we'll hand him the mic and cut the power. So we baited the trap. And Cal walked right into it. Cal always had a weakness for attention. That's what Rhea counted on. And that's why our final play wasn't about lawyers or numbers. It was about ego. 2 weeks after the legal notice hit his inbox, Cal made a bold move. He booked himself as a keynote speaker at the Pacific Leadership Summit, a flashy industry conference where execs flex their growth stories and humble brag about innovation. His topic? Building integrity-centric culture in a post-pandemic market. I nearly choked on my coffee when I saw the flyer. Rhea didn't even blink. Perfect, she said. Let's make it his eulogy. She reached out to a tech finance journalist she knew, someone with a sharp nose for hypocrisy, and a big enough audience to bury a man like Cal. The pitch was simple. Top exec at $200 million analytics firm about to speak on ethics, while under internal review for Q4 financial misreporting, whistleblower retaliation, and an ongoing legal complaint. Anonymous tip. Verified documents. Journalist fact-checked everything before publishing. The story dropped the morning of his keynote. Headline: Epsilon Metrics CEO faces internal scrutiny amid claims of fabricated revenue reports and unlawful termination. The post went live at 7:13 a.m. The conference started at 9. By 9:05, sponsors were already pulling out. Cal still got on stage. I watched the live stream. He looked composed, smug even, like he could still spin it. Until the questions started. A woman in the second row stood up. Can you speak to the ongoing fraud investigation connected to your Q4 reporting? You could see the blood drain from his face. Another question, from a college-aged guy with a press badge. Do you consider firing whistleblowers part of your integrity-centric leadership model? Cal froze. The moderator tried to move things along. Cal stumbled through a vague, buzzword-laced response. But it was too late. By noon, the clip was trending on LinkedIn. By 3 p.m., his executive access badge was suspended. By midnight, his bio disappeared from the Epsilon Metrics leadership page. Rhea called me at 8:06 the next morning. It's done, she said simply. A week later, I got a call from Martin Finch. I spoke with our board, he said. We want you to lead the new West Coast Advisory Group. Full autonomy. Build your team. Name your terms. I said yes, but only after I called the mole, and offered them the first leadership role on my team. Because real loyalty deserved reward, not punishment. Now, I sit in my own office, looking out over a city I once thought I'd have to leave in shame. But I stayed. I rebuilt. I rose, not with vengeance, but with purpose, and every now and then, I still get messages from people who saw Cal on stage that day. They call it the quiet collapse. I just call it closure.